The most wild thing to me about the 4B movement is the outpouring of women who are realizing how much of a good idea it is, and the outpouring of men who are like, they can do that. I know it's a fairly recent thing, man, but yeah, women can get their own homes, live their own lives, and do basically everything that they want to without centering men around their lives. And it's very telling to think that this is a threat to you. You would think that some of you would see this as a step towards getting rid of the patriarchy and removing some of the stress in your life around being a traditional man, even though some of you may still want to be. But with the 4B movement, women don't need to center men around their lives because women don't need men to survive anymore. It was a fairly recent thing that women could start voting and having bank accounts. And in some men's minds, it's only going to get worse from here. So with women not needing to rely on men anymore for housing and having actual money, men might have to start doing insane things in order to attract women, like having a personality. I just think that feeling threatened during a movement where women decenter men from their lives is a very big tell.
Personally don't understand how people can be single or like not go on a single date and over like
I wanted to talk about this video because personally, as a woman, I think this is a very dangerous place to be. Not only are you not okay with yourself, you're telling yourself and you're conditioning yourself to believe that you have no worth if you are not in a relationship. That is so far from the truth. Become okay with being alone. Become okay with being just with your girlfriends, just you by yourself at dinner, at a coffee shop, reading a book. Be okay with being alone. It's okay. Once you surpass the discomfort, you'll see how beautiful it is and how it's something you should cherish. As time goes on, time for yourself diminishes as your responsibilities increase. The older you get, the more responsibility, the less time you will have for yourself. And though you might be in a relationship, you might be a mother, whatever, you will regret not taking advantage of the time you have now. Just you, your family, your girlfriends, your career, that's it. Singleness is such a gift, and a lot of people fail to realize that.
One of the things that I hear a lot from people in regards to women who choose to be single is that somehow we are bitter or traumatized and we've been hurt before, and that's why we've decided to be single. You know what? That may be the case for some women. Some women have decided that, you know what, I'm gonna take myself out the game because this is just too much for me. But in my experience, both personally and professionally, a lot of women are choosing to be single because of the fact that they are much healthier and happier with themselves. The thing that I hate most about, this whole idea that, choosing to be single is because of some sort of hurt or trauma, it makes me feel like people are still buying this idea that the default position for women is to be partnered, that that's what we were supposed to do, and your life is not complete unless you have, fulfilled that. As we're seeing, more and more people are deciding to either prolong or forego marriage and children altogether and are doing fine. We're actually thriving. And people are now realizing, oh, so maybe this marriage and kids thing isn't the only way. For some people, that can feel really scary. That can feel really intimidating because that means they'd have to question their own value system, the things that they believe about what a good life is supposed to be. In my, experience, a lot of single women who choose to be single are doing so because they like themselves more as single people, they have a better quality of life as single people, and they really want to focus on building other relationships outside of the romantic context in order to have a more fulfilling life. And I have to say this, historically, romantic partnerships, marriages are really, really based around women's labor. And I know some people are going to get mad at me for saying that, but a lot of the success in the cis hetero relationships that I've seen is based on how much a woman is willing to sacrifice in order to make the relationship work. Guess what? A lot of women ain't trying to do that. They understand that the costs really are not aligned with the benefits, and so they are choosing themselves. And I applaud those who are making that choice. It takes a lot of courage and humility to look at yourself and and be able to say, you know what, all these societal norms don't really work for me. I'm going to choose something different. For those who are threatened by that or who don't understand that, I really want to encourage you to sit with that discomfort and think about what that is. What is making you so uncomfortable about someone else's life choice that's working for them? Is that somehow making you question yours.
Why do intelligent women, or so many of them, remain single or prefer to be single? It's a great question. And when we're dealing with any person that's intelligent, they know themselves. They've done a deeper level of work on themselves. They have learned to love themselves. They a better boundary. In other words, they are going to own their nose. When someone unhealthy or toxic enters their life, they're not going to lean into them and say, yes, how can I please you? How can I help you? How can I support you? How can I maximize your needs and minimize mine? They've done a level of self-work on themselves. They are self-sufficient. They are less reliant on men. They aren't going to tolerate bullshit. They aren't going to tolerate games. As a result of that, they're not choosing the same kind of partnership over and over again and wondering, why is this happening? They've made the unconscious patterns and trauma in their lives conscious. They've actually equilibrated and worked with their trauma. And that really is, intelligence is a very layered conversation and a very layered concept. But when we're talking about relational intelligence and emotional intelligence in relationship, it is vested and grounded in self-love. It is vested and grounded in moving beyond the patterns of the past that have been survival patterns and into patterns of thriving. These intelligent women, and this is what I admire so much about them, are not only curious about their own lives, but they're not willing to settle. So they are happy to be single and they can find and create joy in their world outside of needing partnership. So partnership becomes a desire and a healthy partnership becomes a priority. What are your thoughts on that?
There's a lot about the experience that women are having with dating when so many would rather just have a cat. So massive difference between what men think makes dating hard versus what women are actually.
Let's talk about it from the women's perspective here, because I think a lot of women will back me up when I say it's so irritating that these boys will constantly complain that women don't want to date them. And then when we try to tell them nicely why, they just continue to ignore us and complain. Because guess what? 15%, an all-time high of boys surveyed, said they had 0 close friendships and relationships in their life. So if you're not listening to women, listen to each other, because apparently boys don't even really want boys in their lives. Let's talk about it. I want to give credit to those 2 creators as my first example here. They did an amazing job, and the entire time I was watching their videos, the whole time I was watching their videos, I was just thinking, are they really this attractive right now? Or are they just self-aware and speaking with empathy for the struggles of women? And that right there shows you what women are actually looking for. Interestingly enough, most men reported are single. Most women are not. When you look at the stats from Gen Z, you'll see about 63% of the boys are single reportedly. But only 34% of the women our age are single. And for this poll of millennials and Gen Xers combined, roughly, you'll see that men are still on average more single than the women. And boys' main argument for always being like 90% of the users on dating apps are men. They're not actually. Only 62% of the users on dating apps reportedly are men. That's a pretty decent ratio. So clearly there's not a huge lack of women and men to be partnered together. And we have to take into account that there are LGBTQ men and women. So why are the majority of women who date men choosing to be single instead of having to deal with dating? Why has a woman decided that a cat is better than dealing with a boy? Well, ladies, let's talk about it and give them the answers here today. Relationship standards have been raised slightly, yes, but not in the way that boys complain about them. We expect boys to have greater skills, but what are these skills? These skills are things like better communication, empathy, understanding, emotionally available, and sharing our values. Sharing our values brings up another great point. More young women now are trending more to the left than before, and men aren't following the pattern quite as heavily as women. And yes, we can be kind and get along with people on the right. That's not the issue. I have some mutuals that lean towards the right. When it comes to a lifelong partner, women really do want someone who shares those core values and basic human beliefs, which means that these divides not keeping up with each other are going to have a greater impact on dating. I also really love the points that this article brought up. There is a huge double standard when it comes to dating choices and safety. The burden of choosing the right partner feels like it always falls on the girls. But then we're always being yelled at and told to give a guy a chance regardless of whether we're attracted to that man. But then if we get into an unsafe relationship, the women are blamed for choosing the wrong man and just letting any man have a chance. So we're supposed to choose the right partner, and we're told to give everybody a chance, but don't just be giving everybody a chance. But if you don't give everybody a chance, then you're just being too picky. But also, if you're not picky enough, then it's your fault for choosing that man. Yeah, no wonder most women are just opting out of the song and dance. A lot of men, for some reason, simply lack empathy or don't have great social skills. And we're not here to parent you into learning those things anymore. Again, the way men have treated women has just burnt us all out from dating. All of these double standards are exhausting to deal with. And then a big one I hear all the time, many women feel like men just don't actually even like women. Even the way a lot of boys treat us and talk about us and behave and scrutinize and pick us apart. It's like, do you even like us? Okay, because at the end of the day, then you complain that you don't have a girl. But it doesn't even seem like you really like them. And for that cherry on top, study after study after study are coming out saying that women are just happier being single nowadays. So it's really not like boys are competing with the top 10% of men. You're competing with our happiness, our peace, our quiet time, our joy. It's like I always explain to my family when they ask, it's so hard for me to date because I am like genuinely very happy all alone. So when I actually find a man, not only do I have to find one that doesn't add more stress into my life, but you have to somehow bring more joy to it as well, as I would hope that I bring them as well. I like to believe I bring my partner a lot of joy in life.
Here's the thing. Probably because I'm a Libra, but I love commitment. I love love. I love relationships. I love marriage. I love being married. I think it's a beautiful thing if it's done with the right person. However, whenever I hear that a woman is being single by choice, I immediately support that decision. I don't need to know her. I don't need to know her dating history. Yes. Immediately, yes. And that's because I know deep down that my husband is the exception to the rule. He's not the standard. He should be the standard, but he's not the standard. I know that he is a unicorn. I know that. So for me to meet a woman and hear that she's like, I don't want to date, I want to be single for the rest of her life, and question that is weird to me. I wasn't one of the lucky ones. I didn't meet my husband in high school. He wasn't my first love, nothing like that. I went through hell for maybe about 3 or 4 relationships straight before I met him. And a lot of women have a very similar dating experience. The choices are shitty. Like, I'm sorry I don't make the rules, but the choices are shitty. If you are happily married or in a healthy relationship, ask yourself this question. Would you date all of your exes again in order to get to your husband? Like if somebody was like, you know what, let's take your husband away and date all of your exes again, would you do it? Because I would have to think about it. Because to be honest, I don't think I could survive that twice. Maybe your exes weren't that bad and you date them all over again. Okay, maybe you ended on good terms with all of them. Date 3 random men that you don't know. Just based on attraction only. Would you take the chances all over again? Would you go through potentially 3 bad relationships in order to be where you are now? Because that's a tough one. Like, I'd really, really have to think about that. Like, if they were like, you know what, your husband's at the end of this, for sure. The same husband that you're with now, or long-term boyfriend that you're with now, would you date 3 random strangers in order to achieve that, in order to be where you are now? If the answer is no, then you should support any woman that tells you that she's single by choice and she's happy. Because I guarantee you a lot of them are happy. A lot of them, I would say that there are probably more happily singled women than there are women in marriages.
Straight men need to step up their game and relationally with women, or they are going to be pushed out. We really are seeing this play out in real time through the 4B movement. If you're not aware of this movement, it's a radical feminist movement that originated in South Korea, but it has gone global in recent months. And the focus of it is decentering men, but in a very hardcore way. Straight women specifically are committing to not only never marrying men, but never being in relationships with men or dating men, and more significantly, to never having sex with men. And we are at a very interesting point in history now where sex toy technology is so good that women do not need men in a sexual context. And there's obviously been a trend for a while now of women committing to platonic life partnerships, which is where they move in together with a best friend of the same gender and have a completely but committed lifelong relationship, because they are finding more meaning in that relationship and more connection and support and validation than what they are getting through their relationships with men. I think for so long men have seen it as some kind of threat that they can make, like, well, you need men, like, what will you do without us? But women are literally at a point where they are so fed up that they are saying, we don't care. We are just really sick of men's shit. This is the consequence of toxic masculinity. This is the consequence of this whole alpha male movement that was led by the likes of Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson, telling men that women need to go back to traditional gender roles. Women need to go back to the kitchen. Women can't have only pages. They can't have Instagram accounts. They can't wear certain items of clothing. Women are just like, that. We're just going to do us. And if the human race dies out because we're no longer procreating, then so be it.
For the single men out there who keep wondering why women are opting out of marriage and why so many women are content being single, my answer is going to surprise you. Believe it or not, it's the married men and women. That's what's keeping the women single. Every day on this app, we watch a little bit of rage baiting with a married woman showing how her husband weaponizes his incompetence. They've read the Facebook post where you wish your woman a happy anniversary, but you brag about how you put her through this and that, all the ups and downs, how you completely dogged her out, but through it all, she stuck by your side. And we also see the 40% of married men who are on the dating apps. We watch these married men cosplay as single men all the time. They don't like seeing that these men can't be faithful, and a wedding ring and some wedding vows doesn't change that man. So if you're out here and you're wondering why the single women are so happily opting to remain single, and you're like, what's the problem? What happened? Is it social media? Is it the dating apps? Is it Kevin Samuels? Is it feminism? They realize that some of these happily ever after stories look miserable behind closed doors. They've seen what 5, 10, 15, 20 years of a man's weaponized incompetence can do to a woman. Married men and women are one of the biggest reasons why women are remaining single. Some of them have seen you and your life and what you put up with in order to keep that man, and they say it's not worth it.
Will say to me, like, aren't you scared being single in your 30s? And I'm like, no.
People tend to forget that men actually end up with the longer end of the stick in marriage. The happiest people on earth are married men and unmarried women. The highest rate in suicides are divorced men and married women. So if we look at these facts and statistics, it is quite obvious that women are actually very happy on their own. But society likes to keep it a secret. Why, you ask? Well, society is run by men. And they wouldn't want us to know that we're happy without them. Because men always benefit from marriage, where women not so much.
Fellas, I don't know if you are intentionally or subconsciously being confused by what we mean when we say we would rather stay single, but it's not because we don't want a relationship. It's not because we don't want companionship, partnership. The problem is, why would we get into a relationship specifically with a man when it does not improve the conditions of our lives, or at the very least maintain the status of life that I currently provide to myself? Why? So if I'm financially stable, emotionally stable, if I go to therapy, if I have taken the time to build a genuine connection with people around me, a community, why I want a relationship with a man who has not even taken steps to improve his own life, but want to be in a relationship with me? Why?
I've been single for 6.5 years, and a very common question has been, do you want a relationship? To which my favourite reply is, that depends what type. It's a common mistake to think that being in a relationship and being single are in any way comparative. Of course, individuals have their own experiences, but there are as many ways to be single as there are types of relationship, which of course relies on the relationship you build with yourself and with other people, which again, there's lots of ways to do. I don't really care for the labels of being single or in a relationship as much as I do my spiritual, mental, emotional well-being and fulfillment while having those experiences. So if you're asking me if I'd rather have a relationship for the sake of having a relationship, the simple answer is no. Because to trade everything I have, it really depends what type.
If you stay single and build your business and put all that effort and energy into what you're trying to create, you don't have to worry about a man sabotaging your business, trying to clout chase off of what you've done. And I understand that if you have somebody and you care about him, you don't want him to feel some kind of way. A lot of women try to protect a man's ego because they feel like, well, he has help. He ain't gave you no real money. You know what I mean? Like, it's these men want attention. They don't even really want to work and get money. They just want the attention. My daughter's father opened my first salon for me. He bought the space. He did the build out. His father was the electrician. He did all the electrical work. He did all that for me. He didn't have to go around telling everybody what he did. He did that for my daughter. He did that for me. It's like nowadays a man will give you the bare minimum or invest the bare minimum, but he want all the accolades off of your hard work. You really the one that went to the bank and got that funding. You the one who did the footwork and finding some place and getting a location. He just probably gave you $2, $3, and now he thinking that, he want to let everybody know, like, yeah, this is what I did, and he didn't do that. And I'm going to be honest with you. If a woman is successful in her business and she has a man, you guaranteed you done gave that man about 20 other women that he probably wouldn't have had if didn't nobody even know about y'all. The colder that you are, the stronger that you are, the more successful that you are as a female, whatever man you with, he's going to get the attention of other women based off of you and what you've done for yourself, because women going to think that he did it. Back in the day, like early 2000s, if you was in Atlanta from 99 to 06, you know we had a time. I'm too old. I'm damn near 50. I don't club hop. I don't go to the clubs or none of that. But I met some guys from Atlanta, and they had their section, and they, you know, I'm like, oh, they cute, you know. But I came in, I'm from Chicago. If you Chicago, Detroit, you know, when we come through, we gonna come through and we gonna put it on. I have my Rolex, all my jewelry on, all of that. And so we formed a friendship, and I introduced him to somebody that I knew. So I was a middleman for him for other things. But he would tell me, he said, I love when you come in town. I love when you kick it with us, because when you walk away, when you go to the bathroom or whatever you do, I get about 20 numbers. I said, what you mean? He said, because you come in, you look so good when you come through. You always have your expensive stuff on. He said, those women think I bought that for you. When we talking and we in the section and we having a good time, women are watching you. And when you walk away, they give me their number because they think that you my woman, and that all that fly shit, all that expensive shit that you wear, they think I bought it for you. So I'm telling you, that was back then. So a lot of times now on the internet, we post certain things, and a man will sit up there and clout chase off a woman, especially a woman that's successful. Other women will want that man based off a simple fact of what you have. Because in their mind, they like, oh, she got it, I could get it too. The more successful you are, the more attention you're going to give that man, because every woman thinks that he done did that for you. These men clout chase too much. If you really want to be successful in business and whatever it is, your endeavor, stay single. You don't have to worry about his feelings. You can invest all that time and energy into you.
I've never had a boyfriend, and I'm 29 years old.
Hi, my name's Erin. I'm 27 and I've never had a boyfriend. And I was going to see a therapist because I thought there was something wrong with me, until I had a really good conversation with my little sister. And she was like, as the way that I see it is that I think a lot of men get confused because they get a very spicy energy from you. And what can I say? I'm a little bit spicy, but I also haven't met someone that's on my level, and that's totally fine. And I refuse to settle for less until I find that person that can meet me there. And yeah, and if 23 provides that for me, 2023, I'll bring it on. But until I meet that person, I refuse to settle for anything less. So it's our year, doll. It's our year.
I would much rather be single than stuck in something that isn't fulfilling. I would much rather be single than married to a partner that it isn't equitable. I would much rather be single than be lonely in my relationship. We treat singledom as if it is this curse, as if you are unpicked or unwanted or undesirable. And it's like, maybe she just didn't settle.
Rule number 21. Stay single until someone actually complements your life in a way that makes it better not to be single. If not, it's not worth it.